Good evening, everyone. I'm Kubrali, and you're watching Awaz News. Tonight, I'll be taking you to top news across Canada.
Police shoot two men suspected in string of Markham home invasions, killing one. Petition to ban fireworks in Brampton reaches nearly 9,000 signatures. Flair Airlines passenger speaks about rough landing that saw plane exit the runway in Waterloo. Trudeau says he's absolutely serene about invoking Emergencies Act. Sexual harassment prevention training required for 2023 World Junior Hockey Tourney.
These were the headlines, and now let's go through the details.
Police shot two men suspected in a string of Markham, Ontario home invasions Friday morning, killing one. Ontario's Special Investigations Unit SIU says the incident happened just after 7 a.m. on Eyre Drive near Calvert Road while plainclothes York Regional Police officers were investigating 6 home invasions that took place between September and November in the area. Investigators say they locate 4 individuals identified as suspects in the string of robberies in a white vehicle Friday morning. Within this interaction, the SIU said police shot 2 male suspects. One was pronounced dead on the scene, and another, a 26-year-old male, was transported to hospital in stable condition where he remains in custody. The age and identity of the deceased are unknown at this time. Images obtained by CTV News Toronto appear to show a plainclothes officer with their weapon drawn during the interaction. The SIU said one of the suspects was armed, but it is unclear if that weapon was drawn. Police say a man and woman, both 26 years old, were also arrested at the scene and remain in custody. Charges are pending. A Flair Airlines plane with 134 passengers on board ran off the runway in Waterloo on Friday morning. The airline says that Flair Airlines 5851 from Vancouver to Kitchener-Waterloo exited the runway at the regional Waterloo International Airline shortly after landing at around 6:30 a.m. Waterloo Regional Police have told CP24 that one passenger was treated by paramedics at the scene for a minor physical injury. No other injuries were reported. Kitchener resident Paul Anstead was among the passengers on board the flight. He told CTV News Kitchener that it appears as though the plane touched down a little further along the runway than it might normally and then couldn't come to a stop quickly enough. He said that visibility seemed fine at the time, but the runway was wet and it was pretty windy. Anstead said that the landing felt a little bouncy, but he noted that there was no panic in the cabin at all as the Boeing 737 veered off the runway. Passengers were able to disembark the plane and board a number of city buses which delivered them to the terminal. Passengers were able to take their carry-on luggage with them, but many still haven't received their baggage. Anstead, who regularly travels out west for the work, said that the experience won't deter him from flying with Flair Airlines again, but he joked that there are some things the upstart budget airline could improve upon. At this point, it remains unclear what caused the plane to exit the runway. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada has said that it is deploying a team of investigators to gather information and assess the occurrence. Meanwhile, the airport has said that it will be closed to commercial traffic for the rest of the Friday. The 2 host provinces for next month's World Junior Hockey Championship are requiring the sport's governing body to oversee anti-harassment and sexual assault prevention training for all staff and players ahead of the tournament. Hosts Nova Scotia and New Brunswick also want Hockey Canada to sign an anti-harassment policy following accusations that the governing body hasn't done enough over the years to address alleged sexual assault involving players. Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston says Hockey Canada is reviewing the conditions the host provinces impose as part of contribution agreement for the tournament, which begins December 26. Nova Scotia is providing $2 million and New Brunswick will spend $1.25 million. Hockey Canada has faced intense public pressure since May when it was revealed that an undisclosed settlement had been paid to a woman who alleged in $3.55 million lawsuit she was sexually assaulted by 8 players, including members of the country's World Junior team, after a 2018 gala in London, Ontario. Allegations of gang sexual assault involving the 2003 World Junior team that competed in Halifax emerged in July. None of the allegations have been proven in court. The province is also talking to Hockey Canada about ways money can be raised from raffle ticket sales to support organizations working to prevent sexual violence in sport. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau defended his decision to invoke the Emergencies Act to a public inquiry Friday, displaying moments of introspection while acknowledging the seriousness of declaring a public order emergency and insisting it was the right thing to do for Canada. The Prime Minister was witness at the Public Order Emergency Commission, which has spent 6 weeks examining Trudeau's emergency declaration in February in response to Freedom Convoy protests in Ottawa and elsewhere. This was a moment to do something that we needed to keep Canadians safe, he said. I'm absolutely serene and confident that I made the right choice. Before a packed room at the Library and Archives Canada, which has hosted the public hearings since October, Trudeau described some of the key moments leading up to the moment on February 14, when he ultimately signed off on the order. The Prime Minister painted a grim picture of the situation at the time, describing Canada as teetering on the edge of violence and threat he believed was very real amid the angry protests in capital and other parts of the country. Trudeau was detailed some of the closed-door discussion between cabinet ministers and national security officials before he says they all agreed on the need to use the act. And he spoke of a moment before signing the order when he stopped to ask himself, what if I don't sign it? But Trudeau was unapologetic as he explained why he signed the order, the first time the Emergencies Act has been used since it became law in 1988, giving police and financial institutions extraordinary powers to end the protests. Friday marked the first Canadians have heard directly from the Prime Minister about the version of events surrounding the convoy protests. The inquiry has been focused on the question of whether Trudeau was justified in declaring a public order emergency, which the Emergencies Act identifies as a threat to Canada's security as defined in the Canadian Security Intelligence Service Act. Canadian Security Intelligence Service Director David Runoff previously testified that while no such threat materialized during the protests, he told the Prime Minister he supported the decision to invoke the Emergencies Act. Trudeau defended that decision Friday by saying CSIS deliberately narrow definition of what constitutes a threat to Canada's security was intended to frame the spy agency's activities and not constrain the government. The government is allowed to accept input from other sources beyond CSIS, including the RCMP and other federal departments and agencies, and that ultimately the decision rests with Cabinet, he added. Trudeau did note that he waived cabinet privileges over many sensitive documents and other records to allow Canadians see some of what the government was learning during the convoy. Throughout his testimony, Trudeau said the threat of serious violence as the protests entered their third week was a key factor in deciding to invoke the Emergencies Act. A year-old petition to restrict fireworks in Brampton reached nearly 9,000 signatures, and now the city is set to ban the sale and use of fireworks at its next council meeting. The Change.org petition was created by a Brampton resident who wanted either a firework mandate to restrict what days and times pyrotechnics can be shot off, or an outright ban, as these issues are increasing in the Brampton area and surrounding. As of Friday, 8,863 people have signed the petition of its total 10,000 signature goal. The excessive noise, particularly late at night, the environmental impact and the frequency of them are among the reasons why Brampton residents signed the petition. In a news release issued Thursday, the city of Brampton announced a ban on fireworks could be coming soon, prompted by rise complaints from residents since 2019. Following a unanimous vote to amend the fireworks by law at a Committee of Council meeting on Wednesday, Brampton is set to ratify the motion on November 28 and make it immediately illegal to set off or sell fireworks in the city at any time. Currently, residents are only allowed to set off fireworks 4 times a year on their private properties on Victoria Day, Canada Day, Diwali, and New Year's Eve. The fines will be harsher for those who break the rules under the proposed recommendations. The fine will go from $350 to $500, while selling fireworks will go from $350 to $1,000.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Until then, good night.